unbelievable. Most times the catcher will turn his back to first base and get back on top to make that play. He turned to the inside to make that play because he knew how fast Hochevar was. And I tell you, Billy did a great job keeping his head in there and keeping his hand in there and taking that throw.
Off the bat of Alex Gonzalez, Coco runs it down. Good start for Luke Hochevar. 3 pitches, 2 down.
Well, Gonzalez really stayed. Luke did a good job getting that sinker down, but he went down and dug it out and hit a line drive to center field that Coco ran down real easy.
So 2 down, and here is Brandon Phillips. Just got done with a series in Cleveland and going over that great trade that the Indians made with the Montreal Expos. Bartolo Colon to the Expos for Cliff Lee, who won the Cy Young last year. Grady Sizemore, who's the Indians franchise player, and Brandon Phillips, who flies to Guyenne, and that's a 4-pitch first inning for Hochevar.
Parking spot, easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCA. It is 7-11 game time here tonight in Kansas City. 79 degrees and partly cloudy, little wind here as well tonight, but overall a beautiful night for baseball as Matt Maloney takes the ball and takes the hill in the bottom of the first. For more on that, let's go over to Frank White.
Well, Joel, the key scouting report on Matt Maloney is he's got a great fastball in terms of command and location, but he had a 2 ERA and 10 minor league starts at Louisville. He was an 05 draft, 3rd round draft pick. Late sink on his fastball, but does have a curveball also. But I think the changeup is the one pitch he can throw at any time and any count.
David DeJesus back in the leadoff spot again. Maloney throws a strike. David hitting .258 on the trip. He did have 4 extra base hits. Hit the ball very well last night. 2 hits, including a line out to right field. And that's hit hard to left. And run down by Lance Nix. The Royals have seen with the Rangers. 1 away in the first inning. The rest of the Reds defensively tonight: Willie Taveras in center with Jay Bruce in right, Adam Rosales, Alex Gonzalez, Brandon Phillips, and catcher Ramon Hernandez is at first. Ryan Hannigan is behind the plate. So Matt Maloney, drafted by the Phillies in 2005 out of the University of Mississippi, and then 2 years later was traded to the Reds in a deal that sent Kyle Loesch from Cincinnati to Philadelphia. 0-1 on Willie. 4 RBIs, 3 stolen bases on the road trip. And it's 0-2. It's a 3-pitch strikeout for Maloney. So just like Luke Hochevar, getting some quick outs in the first inning. And 2 away for Billy Butler.
That's that good changeup that we talked about. The Maloney will throw at any time, and you can see it had a good talent action down and away from Willie Bloomquist.
And now Billy Butler. Billy has a 7-game hitting streak coming in tonight. He had only 3 RBIs on the trip. He and Jose Guillen, 2 of the best averages for the Royals this year with runners in scoring position. There just haven't been a lot of runners on when Billy and Jose have been getting their hits. Two and 0. Three balls, no strikes. Cincinnati Reds very similar to the Royals, kind of riding their pitching. They're 4th in the National League in ERA. The Royals are 6th in the American League. And the Reds have been having a lot of problems hitting, especially in this month. Reds batting just .205 in the month of June, but their pitching in this month is the 5th best in all of baseball. And that's why they're still above 500 at 31-28, and just a game and a half back in the Central. 3-2.
Yeah, those are some things we talked about early in the season when the Royals pitching was leading the league in ERA and the offense wasn't there, but yet they were hanging there in first place and right around first place. And the pitching ERA is definitely huge, and you just hope that your hitting come along. But Dusty Baker also is excited about his defense too. He said he loves his defensive outfield, and I love the way the infield is coming along.
Pounded. Deep left center field. Back goes Tavares. Billy Butler into the drink. And that home run is worth $13,000 tonight for prostate cancer research.
Oh, Ryan, this is that changeup, and you really got to be looking for it. And Billy did a great job slowing himself down. He stayed right on it, didn't have to reach for it. Really got his hands over and threw that changeup. Just stayed right in there. You see the hip rotation, you see the bat hit come down through the zone, and you swing down and the ball goes up, and Billy was able to drive that ball deep in the left center field.
Now ball one on Mike Jacobs, who was out of the lineup last 2 games in Cleveland with Brian Pena as the designated hitter. Two balls, no strikes. A tough road trip for Jacobs. Just 4 out of 26 and 1 RBI. Two and 1. So Maloney falling behind Billy Butler 3-1, and then Billy hitting a 3-2 pitch into the fountains in left center field, and now Maloney has fallen behind Jacobs. 3 balls, 1 strike. Full count. Still 3-2. The Royals coming off a series in Cleveland where they lost 2 out of 3, but we're hitting some long balls. 4 home runs in that Cleveland series. Check that, 5 home runs in the 3-game series at Cleveland. So 3 balls, 2 strikes. Not that the Royals feel like they can solve all of their problems with the long ball. You don't want all 9 guys going up there thinking, well, if I go deep, we're going to win this game. But unfortunately for the Royals during that Cleveland series, a lot of those home runs coming with 1 man on base or nobody on base.
And I think that's the big thing right there, Ryan, is these middle guys have to hit with men on base. So the Royals' first and second hitters need to get hot and get on base so that the 3, 4, 5 guys can have a chance to hit 2-run homers and 3-run homers and really get some offense going.
Now the Butler home run coming with nobody on base here tonight, but the Royals did not score a run in the first inning during that entire 9-game road trip. So good start tonight, and now Jacobs at first for Jose Guillen. Jose with 3 home runs on the trip and 5 driven in. Oh and 1. Jose getting a lot of handshakes and hugs from members of Cincinnati Reds personnel that have been around a while. One of the teams that Jose has played for, the Reds, at the end of 2002 and the beginning of 2003. He had an excellent year in 03. 23 home runs, 63 RBIs in 91 games, and then was traded to the A's at the deadline to help out Oakland as they went into the playoffs. 1 ball, 1 strike. That was the year that I mentioned before that Jose, like Tony Pena Jr., broke that hamate bone in his hand, but waited until after the season was over to get it fixed because the A's were in the playoffs, and he hit almost 500 in the playoffs with that broken bone in his hand.
Well, knowing that it's there, Ryan, maybe it just cuts your swing down, and you know that the only certain pitches you can't swing at. It might make you a more disciplined hitter during that period.
This is just the second trip for the Reds to Kauffman Stadium. They were here in 1999, and they swept the 3-game series. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And the Royals were in Cincinnati just a few years ago. Lost 2 out of 3 to the Reds at Great American Ballpark, which is one of the Great American launching pads. 3-game series, there were 15 home runs. Reds hit 9, the Royals hit 6. On the inside corner, got him looking, and that's the inning. But Billy Butler puts the Royals in front, pounding his 5th home run of the year, and the Royals lead at the end of 1.
1-0 after Billy Butler's home run in the bottom of the first. Our league leaders brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. Fewest extra base hits allowed in the Royals, leading the league in 157 extra base hits allowed. Good for the pitchers as Luke Hochevar steps back on the hill. Ryan.
All right, Joel, and strike one on Lance Nix. Luke with a 4-pitch top of the first inning. It'll be Nix, Ramon Hernandez, and Jay Bruce. Shallow center. Kayaso goes out. And the first 4 retired by Hochevar tonight.
This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, interleague play returns as Albert Pujols and the Cardinals look to keep pace in the NL Central as they head into Cleveland to take on Victor Martinez and the Indians. Fox Saturday Baseball returns this week at 3 p.m. Central on Fox.
Game 1 of that series. The Indians lead 2-1. Albert Pujols has homered for St. Louis. And now Ramon Hernandez, who is playing at first base. Joey Votto, their big offensive threat, is on the disabled list. So Ramon Hernandez has played quite a bit at first base, with catcher being his natural position. This is the 19th time he's played at first. Off of Hochevar. Going to be a tough play for Kayaso, but he still gets him. Hochevar kind of limping behind the mound. That'll go 1-4-3.
Well, this one kind of smarts right here. He threw a curveball and left it up out over the plate, and Hernandez looked at getting right off the wrist a little bit. But to the Raw's credit, there was a catcher running on this play, and Castro was able to recover it and make a good play. I always say it takes the right guy to make a great play. Now, Duke probably wouldn't like to hear that.
Well, it looked like he was limping and afraid that maybe that went off of his knee or his shin or something, but if it's going to hit him on the hand or if it's going to hit him on the wrist, you'd prefer it to be his left wrist.
Well, that's true. It looked like it's either it's high in the glove or just right between the top of the glove and the wrist, and there's probably a little fear in there, and then usually a little pain kind of sets in after you walk around a couple steps, and you just got to walk it off. So that's a good time to chew on your mouthpiece.
And now Jay Bruce, who is in a big slump at the moment. In his last 44 at-bats, only 5 hits. And Luke flips a curveball in for a strike. He is a home run threat, however, 15 this year, which is 6th most in the National League. The Reds, for a long time, and especially when they moved into the new ballpark, a lot of home runs and a lot of strikeouts. But that's starting to change with guys like Austin Kearns and Adam Dunn and Ken Griffey Jr. moving on. Kayaso to the middle, and Hochevar has retired the first 6.
In the bottom of the second, Luke Hochevar perfect so far. Our You Call It text question tonight presented by Sprint. We ask, what is the best Royals-Reds trade ever? Hal McRae for Scheinblum back in 72, Charlie Leibrandt for Tufts back in 83, Kurt Stillwell for Danny Jackson in 87, or Jeff Montgomery for Van Snyder in 88. Text 432-432. Enter keyword Royals, then a space in your answer. We will update them as it goes. Standard text rate supply. Martine at the plate right now. Ryan.
All right, Joel, TN coming off a 222 road trip with a home run, his 7th of the year. 1 ball, 1 strike from Matt Maloney. The Royals getting a home run from Billy Butler in the bottom of the first. Two and one. Maloney got 2 quick outs. He got De Jesus on a line out to left. Struck out Willie Bloomquist on 3 pitches. And then Butler homered. Jacobs walked. And then he finished off the inning by striking out Jose Guillen. And now Tien into shallow left. Rosales out from third and into foul ground. 1 away in the second inning. Well, Frank, you played with all the Royals that were involved in those trades. Hal McRae coming to the Royals organization 1 year before your debut, but you played a long time with Hal. What do you think?
Well, I tell you, the Scheinblum was a 300 hitter for the Royals also, so that was a good deal for both teams right there. The Leibrandt for Bob Tufts was an outstanding deal for us, and the Jeff Montgomery for Van Snyder deal. So I would say the Montgomery for Van Snyder deal was probably one of the better deals we made. You know, Monty went on to get 300 saves, and that would be the deal where, like, we traded a 300 hitter to get Hal McRae, who wasn't a 300 hitter with the Reds at that time. It took him another 3 years to really hit his stride with 2 years of working with Charlie Lau, and he enjoyed both in 1976, really kind of came together. So I would say the Montgomery deal was one of the bigger deals we've ever made.
Two and one on Alberto Kayaso. Well, wonder if the Royals were aware of the type of leader they were going to get in Hal McRae. I'm sure they knew what type of player they were going to get, but what he brought to the clubhouse.
Yeah, they knew he was a hard-nosed player, but he really struggled his first year here and going into the 74 season. And that's about the time that Charlie Lau took him and George Brett, and they started working really hard on trying to hit the ball the other way. And once they figured that out, then both guys they really sort of blossomed together. But when and the reason I just picked the Montgomery deal is because of who we gave up. Because Richie Scheinblum was a 300 hitter that we traded for Hal, but wasn't a 300 hitter with the Reds at that time.
Third strikeout for Maloney. So like the first inning, he gets the first 2 outs quickly and now faces Miguel Olivo, who homered 4 times on the trip. But this is kind of a theme as we're talking about hitters coming through with runners in scoring position, like Billy Butler and Jose Guillen. There's not a lot of guys on base. Well, the same for Olivo. 4 home runs, but only 5 RBIs.
Yeah, and that, you know, you take him when you can get him as a hitter, but you definitely love to have 2- and 3-run homers instead of solo homers. That's kind of the same with Mike Jacobs. You know, he hits a home run, mainly they're solo home runs. And so they got to start getting some guys on base and giving themselves a chance to have some big innings.
Out in front of the changeup.
And you really don't want to put all the pressure on your 1 and 2 hitters, because your number 3 hitter has to get on base, and basically they have to get on base for each other at times and drive each other in too.
Two and one. Miguel's homer last night looked like it was me insurance for the Royals, turning a 2-1 game into a 3-1 game. That was in the top of the 8th, with the Indians in the bottom of the 8th, getting those 2 runs with the help of a couple of errors, and then winning it in the bottom of the 10th.
Well, you're right, Ryan. That was a huge insurance run there. You get down to 8th. Anything after the 7th inning is a big run, and that was like icing on the cake, so to speak, when he hit that home run. That when you got 2-run lead with less than 6 outs to go, you figure you got a chance to win that ball game. Going back to last night, and just the one thing about that swing, you see Miguel Oliva take a lot of swings, and you can see a lot of them with his shoulders going out, his head's going out. But on that home run, his head didn't move. All you can see was his hands coming through the strike zone, and the ball jumped off.
That was a great example too of what you and I talked about. We've seen Oliva, as you just said, the shoulder flies out and really trying to muscle up. That swing right there was a perfect example of a very strong man taking a nice, easy swing and the ball going a long way. I mean, does that look like a guy who's trying to hit a home run?
No, basically, he just kept his head down. Everything just stayed right there on the pitch, and he had good body control after the pitch, after he hit the ball, and it was just one of the better swings that we've seen him take.
And then out in front of the changeup, Maloney strikes out 2 in the inning, and he is
.com. By AT&T, switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. And by Colorado Tourism, plan your summer vacation at Colorado.com. Johnny Gomes steps in to face Luke Hochevar. Ryan's got more on that.
All right, Joel, 1-0 Royals and a Billy Butler home run. And we're going to be joined this inning by Royals alum who ran well for a Royals alum. John Wathen, who's here to talk about Royals alumni fans batting practice.
Yes, I am, Ryan. We're going to have it again this year. It's been a huge success. July 11th this year is going to be the date. It's $300 for adults and $100 for kids coming with the parents. Kids up to, I believe it's 14 years old, can come with their parents. It's a day at Kauffman Stadium on the field. We've got a brand new, beautiful new Kauffman Stadium now that a lot of people have got to see from the seats. Well, it'd be pretty neat to be able to see the seats from the field and see what the players feel when they're out there.
Johnny Gomes, who has always done well against the Royals, hits that ball almost through the left field wall. De Jesus on it quickly, and Gomes just barely beats the throw. Johnny Gomes, in 50 games against the Royals, has 9 home runs.
Well, Luke throws a two-seamer that just rolled in. It didn't really take that turnover action that it usually does, Ryan. It just really just ran across the zone in the strike zone, and Johnny Gomes opened up and really crushed this ball. David did a great job tracking the ball off the wall. Well, that's about as close as you get. That was a great play. David's really done a great job playing the line in left field and playing balls off the wall and getting them back into the infield.
Very similar play to that last night, playing a ball off the wall at Progressive Field and throwing a runner out at second base. And now Ryan Hannigan, who takes ball 1. So this alumni batting practice only 40 people. So you're not talking about 200-300 people scattered all over the ballpark. If you come out, you're going to get a lot of attention from the Royals alums.
Oh, yeah. There'll be 10 alumni out here, Ryan, and there'll be 4 groups with 10 in each group. And I think I made a mistake. I talked about 14 and under. It's 14 and older. Your kids must be 14 or older to come out and compete with their dads in this.
That is not going to advance Gomes. Bloomquist throwing out Hannigan. So runner at second and 1 out. So both of you have been involved with the alumni fans batting practice. So it's from 8 a.m. until noon. So what's a typical day like once the fans arrive?
Well, they have breakfast, continental breakfast in the crown seats area, behind the crown seats in their restaurant in there. We talk about what we're going to do for the day. They get to go on the batting cage a little bit, and then we have groups of 4, as I mentioned, with 10 in a group, and then we come out in the field and they'll be given some instruction, batting instruction, by the guys who are better hitters like Frank. I probably wouldn't get involved in that.
Well, you'll be doing the base running station.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So they can run fast for a fantasy camper. But it's $300, $100 for the kids who come with their parents. They get shorts and a T-shirt and 4 non-premium 2009 game tickets and an autographed alumni ball. It's a lot of fun, and it's a chance to mingle with the alumni, some of the ex-Royal greats, and have fun and be on the field.
Up the middle behind second base. Gonzalez is thrown out by Kayaso, and Gomes moves up to third and 2 down.
Yeah, Duke, I was telling Ryan when I participated in it last year, one of the fun parts were the session in the clubhouse when you just kind of sit around and you talk about the old days and you answer the questions of the fans, and then you come out, you hit them fly balls, ground balls, and a lot of them, they get out on the infield and they look in from shortstop and second base, and they really can't believe how big the infield really is.
Well, that's kind of like us when we play against the campers before spring training down in Arizona. We get behind home plate, and I don't remember second base being that far before from home plate.
I tell you that on the 17th we've got the Hall of Fame opening, and we've got those 4 innings of play, and really I'm not looking forward to going out there chasing baseballs, because I just think that nothing good can come of it.
Maybe we can get some early substitutions for us.
Tavares jammed badly, and he is thrown out. Duke, thanks for stopping by.
816-504
A Faith and Family Day. 1-0 on Willie Bloomquist.
Ryan, getting back to what you were saying about David DeJesus, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, David's swing's not going to change, and really his on-base percentage shouldn't change either, other than the fact when you're leading off, you might want to take a few more pitches than you would if you were batting third with runners on ahead of you. But I think he just got off to a slow start, and I think just moving around, you always think, well, move him to the back, it makes him relax a little bit. You put him in the back in their natural environment leading off. That's what's going to take to get him going. But I think David basically just got off to a bad start, and I agree with him. It doesn't really matter where he hits. His swing's still going to be the same.
There's a nice catch by former Major League pitcher Jeff Brantley. He's working alongside Hall of Famer Marty Brenneman in the Reds radio booth.
Well, it takes a pitcher to catch those balls.
Bloomquist, past Hernandez up the right field line. Jay Bruce on it in a hurry. Willie into second base with a 2-out double.
Well, he took his fastball on the inner half and really just sliced it down. You can tell he was going that way all the way and sliced it right inside the first baseline. Now, Bruce did an outstanding job getting this ball, and he's got a strong arm. And Willie can't even hesitate at all if he's going to beat this ball at second base. And he's running right from the start.
So third double. And a runner in scoring position now for Billy Butler, who homered with nobody on and 2 down in the first inning. Well, to add to your point, Frank, you know, the hitter can say one thing, and I believe David. I think when he goes to the plate, he has the same approach no matter where he is. But then the numbers tell a different story. And the numbers say when he bats leadoff, he's a .295 hitter.
And how many times have you seen or heard a player say, well, I'm batting eighth because they want me to relax my mind a little bit. My thinking is you still got to go up to the plate. You still got to get a base hit, whether you bat first or eighth or fourth, it doesn't matter. And I think that's the general thought process that each hitter should have. I mean, just because you're batting fourth doesn't necessarily mean you're a number 4 hitter. You just have to be the hitter you are and do the things that you can do until the numbers or the way the club is going tells you that you need to bat somewhere else.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, you can put a guy in the number 8 position and take pressure off of him. But what happens if the 7th inning rolls around, tie game, runners at second and third with 2 outs? I mean, how relaxed are you going to be?
The same guy. The situation doesn't change. It's like being that leadoff guy. You only maybe the leadoff hitter once, and you might be a number 2 hitter the next time, number 3 hitter the next.
Willie takes off for third. He is out. They made the third out of the inning. At third base, Billy Butler.
As Alex Gonzalez leading things off. Want to remind everybody that on June 15th, Gloves for Kids returns to raise funds for the Boys and Girls Club and RBI Youth Baseball Program. You can donate now at kcfootprints.com, or you could join Ryan Lefevre and Royals players at Dick's Sporting Goods on June 15th. For more details, go to foxsports.com/Kansas City. Brian Bannister, John Buck, Billy Butler, Kyle Davies, David DeJesus, Luke Hochevar, Mitch Meyer, Brian Pena, Tony Pena Jr., and Mark Tian have all committed to be there, along with Slugger. And we're just going to try to get every Royal ever, Ryan. How about that? That's a pretty good list right there, by the way.
Well, we're looking forward to it, Joel. Thanks for mentioning that. Coming up in just 3 days now. Alex Gonzalez lined out to Coco in center field in the first inning. Four-pitch walk. Luke has been very pitch efficient. 19 pitches to get through the first 3 innings. And only 3 of those 19 out of the strike zone.
Gonzalez hit the line drive to center field the last time. I'm sure Luke remembered that. He threw him a sinker down out over the plate. But you have to also remember it was an out. So you got to go back and let your best pitch work for you.
And now Brandon Phillips, who would not allow me to talk about what a great player he's become when he came up in the first inning, because he flied out on the first pitch. But when he first came up with the Indians, I thought, oh, this guy has a chance to be a good top of the order type guy, maybe a leadoff guy, number 2 guy. But Brandon Phillips become a legit middle of the order guy. He has a 30-30 season under his belt a couple of years ago. Only the second baseman in history to have a 30-30 season. 30 home runs that year, 21 last year. He has 10 this year. I got to be honest, when I saw him play with the Indians, good-looking player, great tools, but I didn't see a guy who was hitting 20, 30 home runs a year.
Well, he developed a little later, but, you know, you could always see the athletic ability that he had, and you know, just bat speed and just being a good athlete. You knew he had something there, but now it's all just kind of unfolded right in front of you, and now he's one of the premier players in the National League.
Won his first Gold Glove last year. And gets it past Bloomquist. The Royals at double play depth left a hole on the left side. So a walk and a single, and 2 on for Lance Nix.
Well, here where Luke leaves another breaking ball up, Ryan, he lays the curveball up, and Brandon Phillips was able to pull it in the hole. Willie made a good effort, but, you know, playing double play depth, you gotta really go something to cut that ball off where that one was. And even if you dive and knock it down, you probably won't have a play at second base. So sometimes it's better to stay on your feet and just try to run through the ball.
Now Lance Nix, and that's hit hard into left center, slicing towards DeJesus, who runs it down. The key to that play was the action on the ball. The slice worked right into David DeJesus.
It went right back into him, Ryan, and that's what David knows is gonna happen. So you just got to make sure you don't overrun it. But Nick stayed out over the plate with that sinker, and then really, when you talk about Luke Hochevar's sinker, it really is not going down like it normally does. It's just sort of sliding right across the strike zone, and left-handed hitters really like it when he does that.
So first and second, 1 away for Ramon Hernandez, who grounded one off of Hochevar's left wrist in the second inning. Deflected perfectly to Alberto Kayaso, who threw him out. 0-1.
This week on Royals Insider, play Name That Royal. Learn something new in Baseball 101 and turn back the clock as we relive great moments in Royals history. That's Royals Insider tomorrow at 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Fox Sports Kansas City.
Gonzalez at second, Phillips at first. Mentioned when Hernandez batted in the second inning, he's getting a lot of playing time at first base with Joey Votto on the disabled list. The Reds love him, making some comparisons to some pretty good players. Chance for two, out at second, double play. Hochevar allows a walk and a single, but no runs in the fourth.
Looking for outdoor
Bottom of the first, Royals leading 1-0. Luke Hochevar getting out of some trouble in the top of the fourth. That is our Arby's pitch by pitch. Frank.
Well, Luke did a good job here. He just starts to run his sinker into the right-handed hitters. He ran his sinker down the middle of the plate and made the guys beat the ball down in the ground. And I think that's what Luke's got to do, is just stay true to that sinker and let it work for him.
And now in the bottom of the fourth inning, Billy Butler, after the first delivery from Maloney, flies out to Jay Bruce in right field. Billy homered with 2 outs in the first inning, counting for the only run tonight. So he's 1 for 2. And Mike Jacobs to the plate, worked a walk after fouling off a couple of pitches in the first. Frank, I mentioned Mike Jacobs getting the last 2 games off in Cleveland, and Trey Hillman saying a mental break more than anything else. When you were managing and you wanted one of your young guys to take a mental game off and just watch the game, what did you want them to watch in particular?
Well, Ryan, I tell you, it's hard to get inside of a guy's head. I just sort of based it on where he was in his at-bats, how many games has he played, and how many games has he gone where it looked like he just wasn't concentrating, whether he's chasing a lot of bad pitches. That's the key. And if he's chasing a lot of bad pitches, it's concentration. So mainly you just want them to sit back and just you really don't care what they watch. I mean, you just don't want them to even think about anything but just relaxing their mind and just watching the game. I don't think they're going to focus on any one thing anyway. So it just matters just not having to deal with the pressure of going up there and having to make that decision what you're going to swing at.
Three and 1 on Jacobs. I read, just getting myself up to date with the Cincinnati Reds, that Dusty Baker recently had Jay Bruce, his struggling right fielder, take a game off. and sit next to him during the game so they can analyze other hitters and what their approach was when they came to the plate, and just kind of talk through some hitting as opposed to working on hitting in the batting cage or off the tee. Just have a conversation about it. And on cue, Jay Bruce handles a fly ball from Jacobs, 2 down in the 4th inning.
Well, I mean, that's how baseball used to be, Ryan. I mean, Dusty's from the old school, and you used to find a guy on your team and you just sit and talk baseball with pitchers. You talk with pitchers sometimes and get an idea of what they want to throw, what would they throw in that situation, what to look for, and you go vice versa with the hitter. You know, what are you going to look for in this count? And it's really when you get in that area where you're too slow for the fastball, you're too quick for the breaking ball, and that's when your concentration is totally gone, and you just need to sit back and basically talk, and it is sometimes it's a lot better than watching videos.
Imagine that meant a lot to Jay Bruce. I mean, guys want to run through walls for Dusty Baker, and you talk about a manager who's ready to go to battle with his players. Dusty, literally, man, he's got the wristbands on. I mean, Dusty looks like he's ready to be called into the game at any point.
Yeah, and guys, he was sitting there in his office with those wristbands on today. Said last time he was in Kansas City was 1986. He said he didn't even recognize the city at all. He said his memories were this place was big, pretty, and a lot of speed. He said, oh, they had Frank White, Willie, George, A.O. He goes, whew, they were really good.
Yes, they were.
And he also said that he spent some time with Frank doing a little traveling, playing in an interesting competition where he got to know you pretty well, Frank.
Well, that was in the super teams. That was back in the late 70s, and Nike put that on in Hawaii. And we were able to go up against the Dodgers and the Cowboys. And, you know, the Royals, the first year we went there, Joe, we actually won the whole deal.
And you guys beat the Dallas Cowboys in a tug-of-war.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah, I had Randy White, Robin Newsom, Too Tall Jones, all those guys on the line. It was a weight limit, 1,500 pounds, and we were able, with Freddie Patek, we were able to get that one extra body. But you know, the funny thing about it was it was a 10-minute time limit, and they would allow you to dig into the sand. So we dug in and we said, okay, we're going to just try to be real quick on the start. Then we're just going to bury ourselves in the sand and not try to pull anymore. And that's what we did. So after about 78 minutes, Keith Jackson walks over and says, God, we can't use this. They just called it a tie and said the heck with it. Next year, they did put a time limit on, and we won again.
Ian takes a 2-out walk. Well, Dusty Baker can go on, and rightfully so, about some of the great teams that you played on, Frank, and there are a lot of flags that represent that. But how about some of the teams that Dusty Baker played for, especially with the Dodgers? I mean, growing up in Los Angeles, very similar to what Royals fans experience here. You knew who was going to be out there every year. And for me, it was Garvey, Lopes, Russell, Say, Baker, Monday, Yeager, year after year after year. Reggie Smith.
Yeah, you talked to Dusty. I tell you, we go back to the Brave days when he played with the Braves, and he said one of the best experiences he ever had was playing with Henry Aaron. He thought that was the highlight of his career.
Talk about history as well, guys, and Dusty Baker, again, not having been here since 1986. He said couldn't even believe how the plaza looked. He said it reminded him back then of San Diego without the beach and the ocean, just the architecture. But he said that he's planning on going over to the Negro League Baseball Museum tomorrow. He's got a few players that he's going to bring with him. He wouldn't say who in case they overslept, but he is hoping, because they don't get a chance to get back here very often, to share some of that history with them and see it for himself as well.
Yeah, you take away the beach and the ocean.
I mentioned that to him. He said it kind of reminded me of San Diego, and I said, without the water, right? He said, no, but the architecture. It just, he really likes it over there.
Well, it's that Spanish architecture in Southern California with that stucco Spanish tile all over the place. Unique here. That's also like Southern California, a beach ball floating in the air. That architecture is unique here, but in Southern California, it's all over the place. I think, on the topic of Dusty Baker, today, this date in '73, I think, was the first day of that infield of Garvey, Lopes, Russell, and Say. First day that they actually played a game together, and then they were together for 8.5 years. And I'll tell you, nowadays, you're lucky to have 2 or 3 guys on one team to play that long, let alone an entire infield.
Well, you're right about that, Ryan. And I tell you what, that was when baseball was stable, but also under the old reserve clause where guys couldn't move around. And I tell you, I like it better the way it is today. But when free agency first started, it seemed like the guys that became free agents, they wanted to become free agents to put themselves in a position to be champions. And I think that's really changed today.
TN strikes out. Royals are down in the 4th inning. And that's 5 for Matt Maloney. Telling Zach Greinke how that ball sailed out of the ballpark, and we welcome over Bob Davis. And with one announcer struggling with his voice, I'm going to turn things over for a couple of innings to a guy who has a real voice.
Well, we're watching your pitch count. Hang in there, all right?
Good to see you.
Well, Frank and I will try to cruise along here, and it's a 1-0 ball game, and the Reds coming up here in the top of the 5th inning. Hochevar giving up just a couple of hits so far. The leadoff batter, Jay Bruce, the former first-round draft pick for Cincinnati, one of their bright lights in their organization. Left-handed batter who grounded out his first time up in this game, and he goes for a pitch there that's out of the zone, perhaps, Frank. And Hochevar's got him set up here 1-2.
Well, he's struggling a little bit with the bat, and he does have a good swing. The first time up, Hoch was able to throw a cutter in on his hands and get him out there. So we'll see what he does right here.
Hochevar has used an economy of pitches. In fact, he cruised through the first 2 innings on just 11 pitches. Right now he's at 32. And a little flare out of play. It's still a ball and 2 strikes. Luke had that pitch in at 92.
Well, I like the way his ball is running, Bob, but I would like to see him throw his sinker where it turns over a little bit more and goes down a little bit and maybe force the left-handed hitters to reach a little. Right now it's going right across the zone, and they're getting good swings at it.
And that pitch missing, so it's 2-2 now to this leadoff batter in the 5th inning as we check out our James B. Nutter pitch count. And you like those numbers, kind of a 2-to-1 ratio there, the strikes and the non-strikes. And a 2-2 is lifted into shallow right center. Should be no problem for Coco. First out of the inning. So 1 gone, and now long time, or at least for a period of time in the American League, Royal nemesis Johnny Gomes comes up.
Well, he hit a rocket his last time up. Luke tried to get inside with a 2-seamer, and he really cleared his hips and got his hands through. And David was really David actually did a great job, Bob, just playing that off the wall and almost throwing him out at second base.
Johnny Gomes has to like this American League rule weekend. Gives him a chance to get in there as the DH. He can generate some bat speed and some power. He takes the strike right there. A career now better than .380 hitter against the Royals with 9 home runs.
I mean, that's one guy you don't want to send a taxi for. You want to keep him at the hotel.
Well, he was here early, I think. Johnny Gomes batting with 1 out, nobody on. It's a 1-0 Royal lead with Billy Butler's first inning homer, the only run thus far. There's a problem. We've got a tie ball game as Johnny Gomes has done it again.
Well, he picked on a hanging breaking ball. Luke's throwing the curveball, but not able to get it to come down and away from the right-handed hitters like he would like. And as long as that ball stays mill in to Johnny Gomes, whether it's a curveball or fastball, then he's got enough bat speed to get to it. See right here, Bob, it comes out, but it doesn't turn over. It just kind of stays right there, middle in, and right in the hitting zone.
So there's a run for the Reds, and we've got a 1-1 tie. We got out there among the fans out in the fountain area. Dry duck fountain seats out there in left field. One of the new looks at the new Kauffman Stadium. Ryan Hannigan now the batter. He takes strike one. Boy, there was a no-doubter when it left the bat of Johnny Gomes. And down the line, and a foul ball.
Guys, maybe Dusty knew what he was doing with Johnny Gomes. I know that Ryan and Frank were talking before about his success against the Royals, and Dusty saying that he looks at that role when they come over to the American League like a pinch hitter who gets 4 hits a game. Gomes would be in there today, tomorrow, and they would reassess for Sunday. So far, I think Sunday might be looking pretty good too.
He's swinging the bat like that. They'll warm that DH spot up with Johnny Gomes.
Well, most times they're looking for that one at bat a night and trying to make it happen there. But, you know, having those extra 3 at bats really makes a big difference.
Nice comeback by Hochevar as he gets strike 3 past Ryan Hannigan. So now 2 out in the inning. And the number 9 hitter, Adam Rosales. Talking to Trey Hillman before the game, Frank, and I think it's fairly accepted that the National League teams have a much easier adjustment coming in, plugging in a guy to DH than an American League team building a lineup around a big DH type hitter going to the National League ballpark.
Well, I think what you do when you're a National League team, you gain a hitter, where in an American League team, you lose a hitter.
Right.
And so that's, to me, that's the biggest disadvantage right there. I think Trey Hillman playing the Cardinals had to make a decision between Billy Butler and Mike Jacobs, and that's what it boils down to.
Ball 1 here to Rosales with 2 out, nobody on. 1-1 tie. You arrived at the big leagues about the same time as the DH rule, didn't you?
Well, I tell you, Bob, I think today actually is the 36th anniversary of me coming to the big leagues.
There you go.
I didn't want to think about it because that's a lot of years, 36 years ago.
Yeah, drive into center field. Coco Crisp, though, with room out there. And the inning is over, but the Johnny Gomes home run ties the game 1-1 in KC.
Stadium, our Amco Transmissions Clutch Play of the Week. Luke Hochevar back in Toronto last Saturday, going 6 2/3, 4 hits, 2 runs, his first win of the year up in the big leagues in 2009, and most importantly, ending an 8-game losing streak for the Royals. He had it all going on up at Rogers Center and pitching well here tonight as well. Let's go back over to Bob and Frank.
All right, Joel. And here's a ball almost behind Alberto Kayaso, and he's hit by the pitch. And the Royals have a leadoff base runner. Kayaso down to first for Miguel Olivo. Alberto talking it over with Ramon Hernandez, the first baseman. Now Maloney will have to deal with a guy who's been pretty hot of late. Home runs in all 3 games of the Cleveland series.
Well, he's done a good job so far, Bob, of staying away from him with that changeup. It's making him reach for the ball a little bit, and right now where Miguel Olivo's dangerous is on the balls that are coming into him and staying sort of down to the middle of the plate.
Well, the Royals have seen the Reds tie it. Now the Royals got a leadoff man on. Olivo now with 8 home runs. Pretty good hack right there, but he fouled it straight back.
Yeah, he's got to really make an effort to try to hit the ball the other way because they're not going to give in to him on the inner half.
Olivo, a strikeout victim in the second. 5 strikeouts for this young left-hander out of Ole Miss, making his second big league start. Pretty good lead over there by Kayaso, and they drive him back. Alberto, though, not a base stealer, hadn't stolen a base so far this year.
Well, he made one attempt, Bob, there in Cleveland. The Royals really got it going, and they tried to keep the pressure on, but he was the one that kind of paid the price for it. But I think right now it seems like manager Trey Hillman is trying to turn up the heat a little bit on the running game and try to keep the spark going with his ball club and keep that positive influence that they're starting to build from an offensive standpoint.
Well, the Royals need something here from the lower third of the batting order. Kayaso leading off, being hit by a pitch. Now Olivo, the number 8 hitter, with Coco Crisp to follow. Oh, what a great night here. It's a delightful evening. Sounds like it'll be great all weekend. No wind factor. So the 2 home runs that we've seen in the game didn't need any wind aided.
No, they had their own rockets, Bob.
They did. Butler and then Johnny Gomes for Cincinnati. And that's going to be a base hit. So 2 on, nobody out. The Royals have something brewing here.
Well, Bob, I don't think they were listening to me. I said anything down and in, he's going to have a chance to put some good wood on it. And this pitch came down and into him, a breaking ball, and he just used his hand and forced it out into left field for a base hit.
Well, guys, let's take a look at our Firestone leaderboard as Coco Crisp comes to the plate, and we bring this up because he, of course, has all of those triples this year, tied for first with 5 on the season, and the Royals' David DeJesus up there as well. John Buck is just a couple of behind. You see Elvis Andrus at 4. The Royals have been all over the triples this year. There's Willie Bloomquist. Maybe Coco can knock in these runners here with another triple, guys.
Cincinnati infield thinking possible bunt. 2 on, nobody out, and a 1-all tie. And he bunts at it, got just a little piece of it, strike 1.
Well, I think Coco, Bob, really, he wanted to bunt, but he didn't want to give it away too soon. And Maloney threw a curveball, and he went up with it, came down with it, then tried to bunt it too late. So you just got to really, if you're going to sacrifice, maybe square a little bit earlier and get yourself ready and decide which way you want the ball to go.
Kayaso there at second, carrying the go-ahead run. Another man at first, Olivo, for Coco Crisp, who hit the ball sharply his first time up. He lined out to Taveras in center. A 1-all tie in the 5th. They're creeping in at the corners. And the pitch was inside, so a ball and a strike. A little pressure on the young pitcher, Maloney.
Yeah, pressure on him because of the situation and also because of Coco's speed. So if Coco's able to get a decent bunt down, then it's going to speed that defense up. They've got to try to make a play.
Everybody looking at the third base coach, Dave Owen. Both base runners, the hitter, spies in the Cincinnati dugout. They're all checking out Dave Owen right now.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out something that's going to give it away.
Ball and a strike. The bunt's been on the first two pitches. And deflected and out at second, but no chance for the double play. Pretty good play there by Phillips. A little backhand flip to the shortstop.
Well, that was an outstanding play, Bobby. I mean, he made that look so easy when he did that. You know, Matt Maloney was lucky he was able to get a glove on that ball. That ball probably went out in the center field. But take a look at this play. Barehanded and right chest high with something on it, too, by the way.
So Royals at the corners now with one out. There's your go-ahead run at third, carried by Kayaso, and now the runner at first. More speed on there with Coco Crisp. And David DeJesus becomes a key man. David's fly deep to left and grounded to first. David carries a 4-game hitting streak into the ball game tonight. A chance to put the Royals back in front right here.
Well, Bob, David's been doing a pretty good job staying on the breaking ball, and he's got a hole over there between first and second.
Ball one. Big crowd getting into it here in the bottom of the 5th inning. The hits are even, the runs are even. 1 run, 3 hits, and 2 left for both ball clubs.
And David's done a good job of late just driving the ball to left field, just trying not to pull the ball unless it's his pitch and the ball's out over the plate, driving him to left center field. So here's a good time for a sac fly.
And a little popper. Reds in pursuit, and they can't get there. It's a break for the Royals. David will get another chance. The shortstop, Gonzalez, may have had the best angle, Frank, but he couldn't quite run it down.
Well, he had the best angle, but I tell you, Casper would have had a chance to score on this because of how close he was to the wall and the body angle if he had caught the ball that close. So it would have been a good gamble for the Royals to make had he caught the ball.
Count moves to 1-1. The Royals are now with DeJesus up there, starting through the batting order the 3rd time here against this young left-hander. Kayaso at third. And Coco Crisp is at first. There goes Crisp. And a base hit. The run is in, and Coco trucking around to third. Well, they started the runner at first, and fortunately for the Royals, that ball lined into right just over the glove of the second baseman, Brandon Phillips. The Royals are back in front. And David now 5-game hitting streak.
Well, Coco actually got a great jump, and they left the right guy at home, Phillips at second base, and he just didn't miss catching that ball, but David did a good job staying on it and just using his hands and getting through the ball.
David stands in there well against lefties, doesn't he?
Well, he just stays right in there. You see his head and his hands, his shoulders stayed there, and just really got those hands through the ball. And I think that's one of the best assets is David just basically facing lefties. They do a good job.
Well, guys, want to let everybody know that Wednesday, June 17th is the Summer of '69 Retro Night with the pre-game party featuring Liverpool starting at 4:30. Enjoy throwback prices of $6 for lower-level seats and Buck Night dollar concessions, plus fun entertainment and in-game features. Get tickets at 1-800-6-ROYALS, Royals.com, the box office, or area high views.
2-1 Royals. Dick Pohl, the pitching coach of the Reds, went out for a visit with Matt Maloney. And DeJesus at first, Coco Crisp at third for Willie Bloomquist. First pitch strike.
Yeah, Willie did a good job his last at bat, letting the ball travel and just stand back and driving the ball inside the first base bag. So I'm sure he's going to probably take a shot at that hole over there.
Maloney over 80 pitches now, 82 pitches at the moment. Still only one out in the inning. Royals recaptured the lead. With a chance to get more here in the bottom of the fifth. The 0-1 instead over to first. Jesus, one steal and 2 tries. Billy Bloomquist 1 out of 2, a third inning double. Facing 25-year-old Matt Maloney. Crisp just 90 feet away with another run. Royals are up 2-1 right now. Now Willie and Dave Owen are going to have a little visit. Really a key guy right here. You got Billy Butler on deck. A chance for a big inning.
Well, there's just some confusion with the signs there, Bob. I don't know where it is. I don't know whether it was maybe Willie's looking for a squeeze or maybe a hit and run, but he kind of got those signs kind of crossed up right there.
Don't pass a little verbiage. That'll help. Oh, he was swinging, but he took a strike, and now he's 0-2.
Yeah, it looks like he was looking for some out of way that he could try to go the other way, and Maloney was able to get a fastball on the inner half.
Now Willie will have to guard the dish. Coco Crisp at third. And David DeJesus at first. After a base hit, driving in a run. No balls, 2 strikes. Well, that didn't miss by much. Ball 1. Willie Bloomquist now with 35 hits. 8 of which have gone for extra bases, including 4 triples. Ray Hillman wants to see some more action on those bases.
I would think so.
Why not? And a grounder. Whoa, Coco got hung up. And now he's going to go back to third. They get the runner at second to Jesus. And now 2 out in the innings. Was reaching on a fielder's choice.
This is one of those plays, first and third. I always like to sing first and third. I always like to have that runner go, Bob. I think that it's up to the defense to decide what they want to do. But with 1 out, I just want you to go. If they throw to the plate, getting a run down, and then you can also create the same situation for yourself again if you stay in the run down long enough.
Coco Crisp is still at third after all that, and Bloomquist becomes the runner at first. 2 outs in the inning, and now Billy Butler's third look at Matt Maloney. Billy has a homer and a fly ball to right. Royals lead 2-1 here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Billy Butler's home run came back in the first inning.
Well, he hit a changeup, Bob, and he really drove it to left center field. He just stayed back and really got through that ball very well. I'd say with the Royals, with Coco at third base and the depth that they have at third base there, Coco's really getting way down the line. So it wouldn't surprise me if he bolted for home plate at some point.
Off-speed pitch in for a strike.
Adam Rosales is playing pretty deep, and I always say when you coach at third base, you have your base runner take as much lead as the third baseman is off the bag, and then you can make some things happen from there.
2-1 Royals. Runners at the corners with 2 out. And will it get through? Nope. Phillips fields, and what a play. That's why he won a Gold Glove last year.
Well, he covered a lot of ground and made that play very easy.
Royals recapture the lead. We go to the 6th.
freeze cam, we go back to the first inning. Billy Butler going deep, his 5th home run of the year. Coors Light freeze cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. 2 home runs tonight, 1 for each team, which means $13,000 each donated to prostate cancer research. $26,000 and counting, guys.
Well, we go to the 6th inning, and it's the top of the order for Cincinnati. Willie Taveras, Alex Gonzalez, and then Brandon Phillips, who made that great defensive play to close out the Royals in the 5th. Taveras showing bunt, and that's a strike.
Well, he can run, and he does try to bunt a lot, but I'm surprised his average is just so low, Bob. I mean, he's got that great speed at the top, and I remember from Double-A, I mean, he couldn't even throw the guy out. He was so fast.
1-1 the count here to speedy Taveras. And Luke able to flag it down. Well, that's a good guy to keep off base.
Definitely. So you can get him to hit those little slow rollers back to the pitcher. That's what you like to get.
Guys, final around the league. Game of interest to both of these teams as Minnesota and Kevin Slowey, his 9th win. They beat Chicago. The interesting development in that game, Milton Bradley had an interesting day. He did have a big hit in the game, but he also had a base running gaff, lost the ball in the sun, and then in the 8th inning, with 1 out, Joe Mauer at the plate, runners on 1st and 3rd.
There's a deep drive by Gonzalez to Jesus to the edge of the warning track. 2 outs.
Well, Bob, there were runners on 1st and 3rd with 1 out for Joe Mauer. He flew out to Milton Bradley in right field. Bradley caught it and tossed it up into the stands in the bleachers for a souvenir.
Ooh.
That's not good. The good news for him is that the runner would have scored on a sac fly anyway. Lou Piniella after the game saying, I hadn't seen that one before. And when asked about the outs, he said, do we need to go over the math? 1, 2, 3.
And you don't get an assist for that either when you throw it in the stand.
Except for in the mind of the fans, but of course they booed him afterwards.
Here's Brandon Phillips. Well, this guy's an interesting story, Frank. Cleveland Indians hoped he'd be a long-term player for them. Didn't work out for whatever reason, but he's still in Ohio and he's found a home.
He definitely found a home. I don't think you can pry him out of Cincinnati right now.
That was a terrific play to get Billy Butler and deny the Royals a run in the bottom of the 5th inning. Phillips still gets 28 later this month. He's got a lot of good years ahead of him. Oh, did he take a hack right there?
Well, he loves to swing at that fastball. He doesn't get cheated either.
He came up to the Indians in 0-2 as he's trying to walk off that foul ball. Each team with a run in the 5th inning, so the Royals are back in front 2-1. This will be an interesting weekend, and the Diamondbacks come in, and then another look at those Cardinals next weekend.
Well, that's true. Bob, that's swinging that hard. That is just one of those things. That's where your rib cage injuries come in. That's where you can pull your groin muscle. You can do a lot of things. Hamstring. Yeah, you can do a lot of bad things when you swing that hard.
They appeal to the first base umpire, Chris Guccione, who says he did not go around. So instead of strike 3, it's ball 1.
It's very rare to see a guy swing so hard it goes down to 1 knee.
Yeah. Now, none of those options sounded like a good idea. Those things that could happen. Did he check there? Yep. 2-2. Luke Hochevar just over 50 pitches now at 52 as he toils here in the top of the 6th. He's working once again with a 1-run lead. Royals are just 4-8 against the Reds over interleague play, but this is only the 2nd time Cincinnati's come to Kansas City. And this should end the inning. Again, getting it located out there, and 1, 2, 3 in the top of the 6th. Royals still lead it.
You are my father. Hochevar and the Royals up 2-1. The 6th is our Sonic Slam inning, and our contestant is Kenny Powell from Gladstone, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run in the inning, Kenny will win $1,200. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Kenny will win $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
Kenny, you got some guys capable of a home run coming up here. Jacobs, Guillen, and Tien. And that'll be into the seats. Foul territory. Strike one to Mike, who is 0 for 1 with a walk. Jacobs, of course, played for the Marlins, so he's seen the Reds a little bit, but coming into this game, just a 186 average. He did hit 3 home runs against Cincinnati pitching.
Well, Trey Hillman thought maybe bringing him back against the National League may give him some familiarity and help him in trying to get his batting average and his production turned around.
And he's down on the count, 0-2. Mike leads the ball club with 10 home runs. Some guys are starting to gain on him now after this last road trip. And a little popper. Salas at third, and there's the first out of the 6th inning.
Wednesday, June 17th is a Buck Night and College Night all rolled into one. Buck Night specials include dollar hot dogs, peanuts, Pepsis, and Game Day Magazine. Ink College Nights offer $7 low-level seats to high school and college students with a valid student ID every Wednesday. For tickets, call 800-6-ROYALS, visit Royals.com, stop by the stadium box office, or go to any Hy-Vee food store.
One out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Royals up by a run. Game 1 of this interleague set with Cincinnati. Now Guillen, Frank gets his 3rd look at this guy. A little flare, but Bruce out there in right had him played just about perfectly, and he goes a few steps to make the catch. So very quickly now, 2 Royals down in the 6th.
Well, our next HD telecast, brought to you by Time Warner Cable, will be tomorrow night right here as the Reds take on the Royals. 6 o'clock start at the K. Coverage beginning on Royals Live at 5:30 tomorrow night, Game 2 of this 3-game stand.
Nice pitch there to Tien. Maloney's got some stuff, doesn't he?
Well, his command is one of his big assets. He pitches both sides of the plate with his fastball. Changeup is a very good changeup. We talked about those middle guys for the Royals. They really need to start hitting with each other on base. You know, it's been all or none, Bob. Either at the home run or nothing, and they need to start getting some base hits in front of each other and give themselves an opportunity to get some 2- and 3-run home runs.
Royals had a chance for some runs in the 5th, had to settle for 1. 1-2 now to Mark Tien with 2 out, nobody on. Well, both these teams, the Reds have a winning record, but both these teams have struggled to score runs much of the first third of the season. The ball hits solidly, and Tien with a 2-out base hit. And Mark now a little 5-game hitting streak going.
Well, Matt Maloney really left the changeup out over the plate, Bob, and Mark Tien was able to stay with it and drive it back through the middle. You know, those changeups, they're not effective if they don't go down or go away, but they stay straight up out over the plate, they're going to get hit.
Now Kayaso was struck out and been hit by a pitch. Well, he had a heck of a game the other night at Cleveland, a 4-hit game, including a grand slam. Alberto jumps ahead in the count. He could get one in the gap somewhere. Tien's a guy that can score from first.
Yeah, excellent base runner. Can score on a double, and Caspo had his share of doubles. I even gave him a nickname, the doubles machine, early in the year, because it seemed like everything he hit was a double.
He has 18 of them. 2-1 Royals here in the 6th. We've had him reaching for that one a little bit. A ball and a strike now. Maloney nearing 100 pitches. He's at 98 at the moment. And Hochevar, on the other hand, He's at 53 pitches through 6 innings.
Well, that's something you can really be hanging your hat on tonight, because he's really done a great job of staying out of the deep counts, and he's done a good job getting the Reds to put the ball in play.
There's Luke hoping for a little more run support here in the bottom of the inning.
Regular basis.
Drive by Kayaso. Does it have enough? Yes, sir. His 4th major league home run. How about Alberto Kayaso? This swing, Frank.
Well, you don't get to see this swing from Kayaso very often. Maloney left the curveball. He doesn't throw it very often either. He left the curveball up out over the plate, middle in a little bit, and Birch just stayed back and really just got his hands through this ball.
Oh, our cameraman Morgan Kramer out there well, he can go to his left, obviously, and it's a good idea that he can. And this is Morgan's camera out there in left field. And, you just have to hang in there in this game.
Well, we didn't see any vibrating camera out there, so he left it on. He moved his body, but left the camera where it's supposed to be.
Oh, everything all right? Yeah. Big home run. Well, Dusty Baker could probably bite a nail in half after Tian made it to second base. They should have had the inning concluded.
Well, that's what happened. You start giving the other team an extra out here and an extra out there. Sooner or later, we'll catch up with you.
Good play by Tian, and another home run for Kayaso. And the pitch a little bit high, and Levo dancing out of there. So the Royals now made it a 2-1 game, a 4-1 game.
Well, that's got to make Luke Hochevar feel pretty good to give him a little breathing room, and he can go out there and settle in and try to take this game deeper on into the game.
He's got a little look of intensity there as he watches these guys. Action in the bullpen. Mike Lincoln, a right-hander, getting warm out in the left field pen. By the way, Kenny Powell, who's our Sonic Slam contestant, benefits from that home run. $1,200. Congratulations, Kenny, and you can thank Alberto Kayaso, who has given the Royals now a 4-1 lead. We've completed 6 innings here at Conference Stadium.
Game summary presented by Verizon Wireless. Luke Hochevar for the second straight game, pitching well as he has hit his stride, only allowing a solo home run so far tonight. Billy Butler extending his hit streak with his 5th home run, and Alberto does it again. Kayaso, second home run in his last 3 games, hit the Grand Slam a couple of nights ago. 2-run home run here in the 6th inning. And I want to thank Bob Davis for lending his voice to the Fox Sports Kansas City broadcast, and now re-entering the game. It's a re-entry. Ryan Lefevre.
There is re-entry in baseball, Joel. Doesn't happen very often, but Alberto Kayaso didn't have a single Major League home run before this season. Now he has 4.
Well, he has 4, and Willie Bloomquist had 1 extra base hit last year. I think he's got about 4 triples. I mean, it's just amazing how these things are starting to come together for the Royals, and the most unlikely guys are doing all the damage.
Now, Luke Hochevar certainly has the arm. He has the velocity to pile up a bunch of strikeouts if that was his approach, but the Royals got to love what they're seeing tonight. 6 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, and that's just his 56th pitch of the night.
Oh, that's amazing right there. But I mean, that's the kind of control that I'm sure Luke had when he was down in Omaha, when he had that 0.90 ERA and just got off to a rocky start when he got back to the big leagues. But he definitely improved on his last start.
The only run for the Reds, a 1-out home run from Johnny Gomes in the 5th inning. The pitch was up and off the knuckles, and a great play. There's the defensive play of the game tonight by a fan. Hung onto his beer and his cell phone and caught that line drive with his bare hand.
Oh, the untrained guy.
I'd like to see him answer the cell phone, drink the beer, and catch the ball. It's multitasking.
I think the ball would have caught him, and that was going on.
Well, now that Luke is pitching into the 7th inning, the question last year had to do a lot with stamina, how he would do after 5 innings. But as far as his pitch count is right now, I mean, he probably feels like it's only the 4th inning.
Well, Ryan, I mean, I tell you, he's just kind of breezed through to this point, and he's been able to mix his pitches in. And really, the one pitch that's really giving him a little trouble today is that curveball. Just haven't been able to control it the way he wants to.
There's one. His 2nd strikeout, and he's retired 6 in a row. Lance Nix is 0 for 3.
But this one here really has some depth to it right here. That's the one that he's been looking for. And Johnny Gomes hit one that didn't break quite as well, and you get that curveball, and that's that sinker he's throwing today. He's really doing a great job standing in the strike zone.
Ramon Hernandez has grounded out twice, once into a double play. On the outside, it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Right to Willie at shortstop, and 2 up, 2 down in the 7th.
Get your team gear at the official online pro shop of the Royals. Shop the largest online selection of Royals caps, t-shirts, jerseys, and more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get your gear straight from the source, theroyals.com pro shop.
Well, thank you very much. And thanks to whomever helped with the spelling. Although my feelings would not have been hurt. I think at this point in my life, I've seen all the different spelling variations, and I've heard all the different pronunciations. Great night, great crowd. And the Royals putting on a show for the hometown fans. They're going to get quite a show after the game. At the second annual Sky Show, billed as the largest fireworks show in the Midwest. And there's some gear attached to the railings that we haven't seen before. Still 0-2 on Jay Bruce. A ground out to second and a fly out to center field. Those look like they might be podiums. Frank White is going to make a special appearance during the Sky Show.
In the air?
Frank, and I believe George, and Willie, right?
I think Split might be the other one. I'm not quite sure what we're going to be doing.
On the corner. Hochevar's retired the last 8. He has 3 strikeouts.
Luke Hochevar cruising here at Kauffman Stadium, 4-1, bottom of the 7th. Let's go around the league. Interleague games brought to you by Panera. We told you about Minnesota behind Joe Mauer, and also getting big win for Kevin Slowe. His 9th of the year, 7-4. St. Louis trailing Cleveland. Detroit beats Pittsburgh. Rick Porcello, the rookie, getting his 7th win of the season. And Chicago beating Milwaukee, or tied with Milwaukee 2-2. Atlanta and Baltimore 7-2. Braves on top, and the Mets and Yankees 7-7 at New Yankee Stadium. And Mitch Meyer going to step in for more on that. Here's Ryan.
All right, Joel. Kevin Shank reminding me that Detroit and Pittsburgh are playing in 2 different sports tonight. In baseball and in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Championships, and Pittsburgh is in front 2-0 at the end of 2 periods. Mitch Meyer leading off for Coco Crisp. Coco at line to center, grounded into a fielder's choice. And now with a right-hand pitcher out there, Mike Lincoln, we know that Coco experiences a lot more pain from that bothersome right shoulder hitting left-handed as opposed to right-handed. So Trey Hillman sending Mitch Meyer up there.
Probably another good opportunity for Mitch to keep piling on some at-bats and just keep getting more experience all the time. So any at-bat he can get, and any at-bat you can get being a 4th outfielder or reserve player is always a welcome at-bat.
Mitch is 0 for his last 12. Kind of adding to your point that when you're getting an at-bat here, an at-bat there, unless you're used to that role, tough to come off the bench and you come in the bottom of the 7th inning. Everyone else that'll be coming up this inning, it'll be their 4th at-bat of the day. 2 bounces to Hernandez. Meyer is the first out of the 7th inning. And now David DeJesus, who has hit in 5 straight after his RBI single in the 5th inning. Royals with a home run from Butler in the 1st. DeJesus driving home Kayaso in the 5th. And then Kayaso with another home run, bringing TN home with him. And a 4-1 KC lead in the bottom of the 7th. One of the outs tonight for David, a line out to left field.
Now he's done a much better job, I understand, with the plan. You know, we noticed on the road trip, he's been trying really hard to work the ball to the left field side, and got some base hits. He got some tough 2-strike base hits, and he even had a 2-strike effort where he was able to advance the runner from second with no outs. And I think staying with that, you get some jam shots, and before you know it, your hand speeds back, where you turn on that base hit to hit the line drive to right field, and even the line drive to the left field is first about. I mean, those things are really, really special in a guy's mind when he finally feels like it's clicking for him.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Mike Lincoln, former prospect in the Twins organization, he has had 4 operations on his elbow, including Tommy John surgery. So that is a bionic man out there.
It's amazing how these guys that have that Tommy John surgery, how they usually come back throwing harder, and that's amazing. I mean, you go back 20 years, and that surgery would end your career probably.
Well, there's another good sign, Frank. They're down 1-2 to Jesus. Enough patience to draw a 1-out walk.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Club and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the account and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the expressed written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation.
Well done, Joel.
Thank you. I learned from you. And Ryan, it's interesting you're talking about Mike Lincoln and all of those surgeries. I was with him in St. Louis. He went from May 3rd, 2004 to not appearing again in a major league game until April 3rd, 2008. Now, we're not talking about just one surgery. You mentioned 4. That is just about 4 years in between appearances in the big leagues.
And you wonder how many times along that stretch he was thinking about hanging it up. Willie, that's going to be a double play. Nothing DeJesus can do there. Royals send 3 to the plate in the 7th. They lead 4-1.
off after the game, an abbreviated version of Boulevard Royals Live with the Sky Show coming up here. We will hear from manager Trey Hillman, take a look at the highlights, some analysis, and a star of the game on the field coming up after the Royals and Reds. Luke Hochevar back on the hill with more of the call. Here's Ryan Lefevre.
All right, Joe, and Luke is 3 outs away from tying a career high by going 8 innings in a start. He's retired the last 8. It's going to be a long run for Guillen, and slicing away from him. Incredible pitch efficiency for Hochevar. This is what the Royals had in mind 3 years ago when they made him the first overall pick in the draft. 68 pitches and 7+ innings.
Well, this is unbelievable. I mean, this is something that, like you say, that everybody's been waiting on, and I think Lucas, in his mind, has always felt he's been capable of having a game like this. But to be this efficient with his pitches, I don't think anyone could have imagined this.
Facing Johnny Gomes, who, for whatever reason, loves the sight of Royals pitching. Had his first Major League 3-home run game against the Royals in St. Petersburg a few years back. He has 10 home runs, 16 RBIs, and hitting about 400 in his career against the Royals.
Well, one thing I can say, Ryan, is there's no way he's not going to play against the Royals.
Well, this is a great advantage for Dusty Baker and any National League manager when you play the interleague games in the American League cities, because here's a guy who's probably not going to play, or somebody wasn't going to play tonight. If it was a National League game with the pitcher hitting, the pitcher gets to take a break, doesn't have to worry about hitting tonight, and somebody else gets to come off the bench.
Well, I made the comment earlier that when you play these games like this, the National League actually gains a hitter when you go to the DH system, where the American League team loses a hitter when they go to the National League system.
Another long run for Guillen, and he is there. Almost collided with Kayaso. So Gomes is out for the first time, and that's 9 in a row retired by Hochevar.
Our defensive play of the game is brought to you by the Home Depot, doing more on defense, and David DeJesus catching the Lance Nix ball, slicing back to him in the 4th inning. DeJesus has been playing some spectacular defense of late in left field.
Now Ryan Hannigan 0 for 2. Another ground ball. 2 outs in the 8th inning. Luke had gone about 11 months in between wins. When he beat the Blue Jays on Saturday, that was his first since July the 11th of last year, and now very close to winning back-to-back starts. And jumps ahead of Adam Rosales. 0 for 2 so far. You talk about getting jammed. CIN throws out Rosales. It's time to bring you up to speed with the AT&T Rapid Rewind. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Well, I'm sure the Cincinnati Reds saw the Royals record, and they heard all about the Royals going 7-23, but they're probably wondering about that scouting report now after the way Luke Hochevar's pitched. Royals with a couple of home runs, 4 runs, 6 hits, and a good night on defense.
Well, a great night on defense, and that kind of goes with pitching. Pitching keeps the ball in play. Defense usually plays well behind it. But it's more the timely hitting that's really been a big story tonight, and Luke Hochevar, and it's the way he's been able to keep his pitch count down and pitch effectively with mainly with his curveball and with his sinker. And I think those two pitches have really been effective for him tonight.
Good curveball from Mike Lincoln.
Well, I think the Reds are kind of having the same similar problems with the Raws offensively, not being able to really put it together offensively. But I think the pitching on both sides has still been pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Gonzalez kind of taking his time there and barely got Billy on a ground ball to short. So Billy 1 for 4, now Mike Jacobs. Mike Lincoln taking over in the 7th inning. The Royals scoring all 4 of their runs against Matt Maloney in his second Major League start. Jacobs has walked, flied to right, and popped out to third. At the knees over the outside corner.
Well, it seems like you're that one guy that's struggling at the plate, and everybody else seems to be getting pretty decent pitches to hit, but all your pitches seem to be on the outside corner, and you never get anything really solid to swing at, and you really have to work hard to try to get that turned around.
Lays off that curveball, 2-2. Well, he missed his spot, but he got the call. Hannigan wanted that pitch outside, but Lincoln hits the inside corner. That's his first strikeout.
And that's really how it goes when you're struggling, Ryan. Everything just seems to go against you until you can get that jam shot base hit to get you going, or get the ball down the middle. You can square it up and get you going, but something's got to get you going when you're in a slump, and these are the kind of things that happen when you're in a slump.
Hit hard and chest high to Gonzalez. Mike Lincoln has a 1-2-3 bottom. Ball brought to you tonight by Panera Bread. Explore a menu full of hearty soups, hand-tossed salads, inventive sandwiches, and savory breakfast items. Panera Bread, where every detail matters. Willie Taveras upset with that call, thought he was safe on a bunt attempt. And Luke Hochevar going for not only his first major league complete game, his first professional complete game, has one out on one pitch in the ninth.
Well, he's been trying to bunt pretty much all night, just trying to get something going for himself. But Luke's a good fielder, and he does a good job getting over and getting that ball to Billy. But Billy probably could have helped himself. He'd have been on the front part of the base with his left foot, and not on the back part of the base. They just anytime you can shorten the distance between you and the throw, it makes that play easier for the umpire to call.
And a strike on Alex Gonzalez. Hochevar with one walk, 3 strikeouts, 78 pitches. Tony Pena Jr. just into the game. Takes care of Gonzalez. 2 down in the ninth. Royals baseball brought to you by Thoroughbred Ford. Want a great deal on a new F-150? At Thoroughbred Ford, we'll make it happen. Willie Bloomquist moving from shortstop to right. Tony Pena Jr. taking over at short. And they begin to chant Luke. Brandon Phillips 1 for 3 with a single. After the first pitch, Pena, Butler, and Luke Hochevar has his first professional complete game in front of almost 33,000 at Kauffman Stadium. Frank, he did it. Are you ready for this? With 80 pitches.
That's a first for me, Ryan. I don't think we've had that happen in a long, long